I was an insurance agent for 7 years. I sold all types of insurance, home, car, business, health, life at a family business. I got involved in the industry, networking with some of the most well-known leaders in the space, in addition to going down to Washington, D.C. every year for 5 years in a row to talk to lawmakers about how their regulations impacted their constituents.
And like Peter, I worked at a family business, but I was on the other side where we bought insurance every year. So amongst the many hats that I wore, was working with our independent agent to buy and renew insurance every year. And so when I met Peter day one of business school several years ago, and he was showing me mock-ups of Wunderite, I knew how much of an opportunity there was to build a better software for agents and for their customer.
Today in the United States, a majority of insurance is actually sold through independent agencies like my family business, hundreds of billions of dollars. And these agencies are still relying on outdated paper processes and outdated technology to run their business. I think part of the reason that this tooling didn't exist is that it's an enormous industry. There's no standard way to underwrite accounts. And so combined with a lot of fragmentation, there's not like a great standard process for thousands of different players. And so that's kind of where Wunderite fits in, where it's this platform that makes it easy. It streamlines the application, the renewal process. Think about, you've probably done this in your own life where you've filled out an insurance application on a piece of paper and you had to sign it and then send it back. Wunderite takes that whole process, puts it online, makes it work from any device. And I think most importantly is we're structuring all this data, which is one of the big unlocks when you think about where we're going long-term, is that there's a lot of opportunity around what we can do with the data. We're live in hundreds of agencies today. And so if you've ever had to fill out these annoying paper forms and applications, we'd welcome an intro to your insurance agent. We'd love to tell them about Wunderite.
The experience that customers have outside of insurance is very different than the experience that customers today have with insurance. I think everybody has a smartphone or an iPhone. They have apps like Uber where you can click a button and a car shows up at your door. With insurance, what you get is you get paperwork that you fill out and go back and forth with your agent on. And then hopefully in 2 to 4 to 6 weeks, you're able to get a quote that you can decide whether you move forward with or not. And so I think that consumers, being both individuals and families and businesses, are starting to have new expectations for their insurance agencies. And I think that the current software and tooling right now hasn't improved at the pace it needs to. And so Wunderite, where we're building is kind of in this opportunity where we're building much better customer experiences, building software that is kind of how you'd expect insurance to work in the 21st century. As far as team size, right now we have 23 team members. We're working with hundreds of insurance agencies throughout the US. So I believe we're in about close to 40 different states. The product that we're selling in to these agencies today is kind of one piece of the process. It's really focused on the application and renewal process. So if you're a business and you're applying for insurance the first time, how do we streamline that process? And then next year, when a carrier is looking for updated information from you, how do you do that in a very efficient manner? Where we're going, where we see a lot of opportunity, Peter alluded to earlier, is on the data side. So we're collecting a lot of data. And so how do we make it easy for that data to port from one application to another, whether it's, if you want to go to multiple different insurance carriers to get quotes, or if it's the same information that you're filling in from one year to the next, how do we make it easy for that data to port from kind of one part to another part? I think on the other side too, there's a lot of interesting insights that can be gleaned from this data. So once it's in Wunderite, how do you structure it? How can you provide insights on it? How can you provide reporting on it? So agents are equipped with, the data that they can go to their client with to help their client become safer risks. I think those are kind of some of the themes that we're exploring and building towards.
Add on that, insurance is one of the biggest industries in the country today. Most people don't understand insurance. And if the average person were to actually open up their insurance policy and take a look at it, and I know this firsthand from being an agent, they'd be shocked by what they found if they had someone actually walk them through it. And so I think part of the challenge is insurance agents are mired in the admin work. They're just doing so much paperwork, trying to get this year's renewals renewed, trying to keep their existing customers, trying to win some new customers. And it's a lot of admin load that they're not always focused on the consulting part of their job. They're not always focused on helping their customers actually understand risks to their business. And the reality is, if you can free up the admin load, and if you can help explain, do a better job consulting to your customer, and have a better customer experience and a customer engagement than just the admin work of filling the forms out, people would probably buy more insurance. Like when you actually understand it, they would buy more, because you work hard your whole life to build the assets you have. The last thing you want to do is put those things at risk. And for a cheap amount of premium every year, they can, not to think about it, they easily would make that purchase decision. And so I think by freeing up this, we're collecting really interesting data, and at the same time helping agencies actually expand the market.
One additional thing to add is, as we're working with independent agencies, most of them are 5, 10, 15 person small businesses. As we get more and more agencies on board, insurance carriers are starting to reach out. They're interested in Wunderite as a distribution play, because their sales force, insurance agencies, are all starting to use the same software. And so that's an opportunity that we'll continue to explore in 2023 and beyond.
York was actually flagged to us shortly after our seed round by one of our major investors. And the names come up multiple times. I think part of it is, we're in the Boston area. Joe and I, even though we purposefully wanted to build a remote company prior to COVID, we were based in Boston, our investors are based in Boston, and the York name had come up as people who were experts at go-to-market and sales. And I think when you look at the insurance industry, for every Starbucks in the United States, there's 2.5 independent insurance agencies. So there's a lot of agencies. I mean, it's a colossal challenge of how do you take a product efficiently to a market like that. And so that's why the York name is flagged to us. I think additionally, we've surrounded ourselves with some great mentors. It's been super helpful in growing the business. One of those mentors we had met through when we were in business school, and it's a portfolio company founder of yours, and we had circled up with him, and he also had recommended York and kind of made the intro and kicked things off. And we were excited ever since.
Yep. Just to add to that, we love working with people that are former operators that have done it before, who know what it's like to build businesses. And I think that's one of the things that stuck out about the York team, is that you've done it before and you're very hands-on, where you're sharing kind of that knowledge, that experience in a way that others can't. And I think that was really interesting for us.